Hi, boys and girls. We now have another story called The Mixed Up Collection. This story has to do with colors. You may see the color red. You might see yellow and blue and green. But also it has to do with counting, that you might find some things when you're out on walks and sorting things out with your families. And also it's about friendship and sharing. So I think it has a lot of good potential. This is called The Mixed Up Collection. The Mixed Up Collection, written by Sheila Sweeney. Annie looked at her best friend Herman, and then she looked at the sack that Herman carried with him everywhere he went. "Hey, Herman," Annie said, "what's in that sack of yours?" Herman peeked into his sack. He had things in the sack that he had never, ever shown to anyone in the whole world. But Annie was Herman's very best friend. "Okay, Annie," Herman said, "I will show you one of my very special collections." And then Herman took out some rocks. "This is my rock collection," Herman said. Herman placed the rocks on the picnic table. There were 1 blue rock and 3 red rocks. "Wow," Annie said, 4 rocks. That's incredible." I see him. Oh, he's still got some in his hands. "Wait," Herman shouted. "I have more rocks in my sack." Herman pulled out 2 yellow rocks. "Oh, Herman," Annie said, "those 6 rocks are the most beautiful rocks I've ever seen." "Thank you," Herman replied. "See if we can count 6 rocks." Oops. I gotta come out a little further. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. How many are yellow? 1, 2. How many are blue? 1. And how many are red? 1, 2, 3. Okay. Annie looked extra carefully at the 3 red rocks. These 3 rocks are so red. They would fit perfectly in my collection. Annie brought a box from her treehouse, and in the box there were 4 red shells and 3 red bouncy balls. "This is my very red thing collection," Annie said. Herman looked at the 7 things in Annie's collection. "My red rocks would fit perfectly into your collection," Herman said. "If I give you 3 rocks," Herman said, "how big will your collection be?" Annie said. "Let me think." Annie sang a song. "I have 7 things that are very red, but my friend Herman can put me ahead. He gave me 3 red rocks, and then when I count my collection, I'll have 10. Herman wanted to be a good friend. He gave 3 red rocks to Annie. "For me," Annie said. "Thank you, Herman." "Now you can have 10 very red things in your collection," Herman said. "Can you count those 10 very red things?" 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 10 red things. Herman felt so proud that he had shared with his best friend. But then he looked at the shells in Annie's collection. "Wait a minute, Annie," Herman said as he crawled back into his sack. "I want to show you another one of my collections." Herman pulled how many? 5 shells out of his sack. "Annie, this is my shell collection. And I think your 4 shells would fit perfectly into my shell collection. If I give you 4 shells, I won't have 10 things in my collection anymore, Annie said. How many will I have left? So if she gives him the 1, 2, 3, 4 shells, how many will she have left? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Let's see if they can figure that out. And how many shells does Herman? Oh, he said he had 5 shells. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's his 5 shells, and there's her 4 shells. Let's see what's going to happen next. Annie gave her shells to Herman. Now I have 6 red things in my collection, she said. Oh, thank you, Annie, Herman said. Now I have 9 shells in my collection. Herman looked at his beautiful shell collection. Annie looked at her very red, her red collection. Now, she said, Annie and Herman both wanted to be good friends, but things just didn't seem fair. So Herman had 9 shells in his collection, and Annie didn't think that was very fair. I'm sorry, Herman said. I know you really want the rocks for your collection, but I used to have 6 very special rocks, and now I only have 3. I know how you feel, Annie added. My dad brought me those 4 shells from the beach, and I just love to hold them to my ear and listen to the ocean, because things can be very special to you sometimes. Then Annie and Herman had an idea. They put all their things together. It isn't a shell collection. It isn't a rock collection. It's a very best friend collection, Annie said. Right, added Herman, and that's the best collection there is. So when you're out with your parents, you might be going for a walk. Maybe you, too, can find a collection of things. Rocks or pine cones or sticks, and then you could count them and you could sort them and you could work together, and maybe your brothers or sisters might have a collection and you could put them together. So there's all sorts of things you can do with that. In fact, I have another YouTube video where I'll have some pine cones and we're going to maybe put them together and do something with them. So I will talk to you later, and meanwhile, keep gathering things, keep counting, keep recognizing colors, keep sharing. Thank you. Bye-bye.